Hello and welcome to Game Soup with Kayla and Chloe. This is a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. I'm Kayla. How are you doing today, Chloe?
I'm good. I'm gonna lie and say I'm good for once.
That's alright. I am back from answering the call to adventure because I went to the Mini Dragon Meat Con last Saturday. We're very sort of like timely each time, so it was last Saturday. I kept calling it over the phone like, this is a obscure wrestling joke. Well, it's not that obscure. It's not obscure if you know wrestling. It's incredibly obscure if you don't. Is I kept just calling it El Hijo de Dragon Meat, which just because a lot of luchadors who are like related to in some way other wrestlers are called like El Hijo de Rey Mysterio. So
It's
I
like
was just
the
like,
son of Dragon Meat or something.
Son of Dragon Meat. I just kept going like, yeah. I've been a, but that was good. I did well. For like what it was. It was like a nice free con. Had a lot of conversations. I sold some stuff. People are really enjoying Psycho Dungeon and Out of the Fold, which is cool.
Good.
This was also my first proper convention since I've been using a wheelchair.
Nice. How was it? Was there enough room?
Yeah, in this case we got like, I think like Dragon Meat like moved our stall because Laurie messaged saying like, oh hey, one of us in a wheelchair. So that was really cool and accommodating of them.
Yeah.
Unlike other conventions, which I won't name, where they emailed saying, hey, I'm just a bit concerned about this, was basically just like, it is your responsibility to handle all of this. If you need more room, get a smaller table.
Get a smaller chair, you considered that?
Yeah, but that was actually all fine. And also it meant I woke up the day after a con and I was, or even when I got back, I was like, oh, I'm tired from a full day of work. I don't feel like I'm physically destroyed.
No.
Like I do after most cons. So that is positive. I transported my suitcase of stock and furniture and stuff by strapping it to the back of my wheelchair and tying like myself wasted. So I basically became an 8-wheeler. I'm furthering a monster truck evolution. I was going to say something else related to this. Oh yeah, so Out of the Fold did quite well, and I'm almost out of it. And I have a fun new project that hopefully I can get done before UK Games Expo. Where I'm going to print up basically a new print run of Out of the Fold, but it's going to be as a soft cover with spine, where it's also going to come in the back with a collection of other card-based games I have written that are currently not in print. So it'll be like Out of the Fold and other games. Yeah, I think it's like, I know some people are often like, oh, anthologies can be a hard sell, but I think I'm going to try and sell it more as a collection with a lead game. I'm like, this is Out of the Fold.
With like bonus games.
Yeah, Out of the Fold is this really cool game, and also in the back of it, there's like a demonic heist game, there's this like solo journaling and sketching game, there's a fighting game and other things, but also it's like, I'm selling with the lead thing. This is me partly going because I'm like low on Swamp Creature, so I just want to have something else with a spine before Gexpo. But I also think that's not going to be too hard to do, because it's mainly going to be... There's like one project I am thinking of rewriting partially to include. That's the big sort of, ooh, is this going to happen? Is this not going to happen? But like, it's mainly...
I think a month before the convention is too late to be writing a new thing, but like updating something you could get away with.
Yeah, I am... Because this is mainly just republishing and reprinting. So I need to do a new layout file, and then there's like one thing where I basically I want to do it as a new edition, which will mainly just be like a big edit of an already existing text, not writing something new. But it's my game 30 Foes, which is like a sort of map making game about outsiders protecting a village from an army and the sort of sacrifices they might have to make there. And I'm just kind of trying and reframe it away from the setting stuff it had and into more like, oh, this is like Out of the Fold, a game you can build collaboratively. And I think like that's mainly going to be like removing stuff and just rephrasing certain things. So in my mind, I'm like, if I do that writing by the end of this week, then all of the layout stuff from that old game still stands. Then like I can lay out this whole book next week, and then I think I could do a print run for that could arrive by UK Games Expo, depending on how many I want to print. So it feels possible. I'll see what happens. If I get to like a week before Expo and it doesn't look like it's happened, I'll just be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
There are other cons.
Yeah. Who's your go-to printer? Because like we've usually done Mixam, but Laurie suggested Printwork, and
Yeah, I mean, Laurie had a lot of problems with Mixam recently, and also had a thing. This is a story I feel comfortable sharing on the podcast, but it was a thing. He had a problem of like an issue with something taking ages and other stuff happening, and when trying to call it, wasn't getting through until he turned his number to private because they were clearly refusing to screen. They were screening calls, which is fucking wild.
dodgy.
The last print runs I've done have still been Mixam, but I could possibly shop around. It'll depend, like, on the timing. In my mind, I'm like, if I have this game ready to print by, say, like, the 8th of May, I'll plausibly do a Mixam order, because I think that will probably arrive in those 3 weeks. If it's maybe, like, the 15th of May, maybe I'll then see if there's somewhere else that could do a rush order that could be smaller as well.
Yeah, like a local print shop or something you can pick it up for.
Yeah, like there's totally options. I'm actually reminding myself that this is, I think, I still have more time to do this than I think Laurie had to sort out the print run for Death Game last year before Expo. So I'm very, like I said, this is mainly just some layout stuff. I need to message one of my friends who really enjoyed Out of the Fold and be like, hey, I'm going to reprint this. I'm pretty sure it's my most riddled with typo game out there. And I know you have noticed that. Do you mind shooting over any things you saw? Because Out of the Fold, it was the 2-week project. But yeah. Oh man, I also had this is actually a bit of free advice for anyone going to a con. Is if you are walking by and someone says hello to you and they are working at their job at the convention and you do not know them, it's kind of not that cool to just make a comment about how beautiful they are while not actually engaging with any of the work they're doing there and just talking about their appearance. I wouldn't have done that, personally.
Yeah, I think that's like harassment, maybe?
Yes, I would suggest it was harassment, and I feel like maybe a perspective was like, well, this doesn't count because I'm a woman saying this to a woman. And I'd argue can still count when someone is working a job.
Just because it's Yuri doesn't mean it's not dodgy.
So that's some free advice for everyone. Do you want to go to a random word generator, or do you have any ideas that have been percolating that you want to...
I mean, the idea you said, son of dragon meat, I have an idea that is like, you play as the sons of... Like, in my head, when I was thinking of it, it's like, you play as the son of Dungeons and Dragons, and the son of Blades in the Dark, or whatever. And we put
what
together,
does this mean?
So for each of the classes, we have like 6 or 7 games that are like iconic 90s, noughties games. Like, you got Vampire the Masquerade, you got Dungeons and Dragons, you know, Blades in the Dark, whatever.
I don't think Blades in the Dark is later than noughties, but
whatever.
I am
you know, we've got a range of games. It's like the heavy hitters. When you list off RPGs, these are the guys you get. You got Cyberpunk, whatever. And then you play as the sons of these games, trying to...
Okay, this is the part where I need to pause you. What does the son of a game mean?
Oh, so it's like if you imagine the personification of Dungeons and Dragons, the son of that.
Okay, so this is some, we're back on our metafictional bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, you are the children of embodiments of fictional games, of real games, I mean.
Yeah.
I feel this children of embodiments of things could be a fun idea. I'd almost lean towards this maybe feels better if you're going for sort of like, I feel you could have some interesting social commentary if you were going for like iconic brands of the 20th century.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be games. I think, you could be like the son of
In my mind,
Betty
like, Son
Crocker or
of
something, I don't know.
Disney is
Son of
so much
Disney,
more
yeah.
interesting than Son of Dungeons and Dragons, but maybe that's me also being like a complete outsider to trad games, really.
Yeah,
Which
I
I'm aware
mean,
we weren't mainly saying trad games, but like a
the
lot of
reason
the
I was
big
saying
ones you
trad
are going to
games is
mention.
so that we could have like each of the playbooks for them is like here are some moves from those games, except they're fucked up because
That's
you're descendants of them.
ooh, I am actually quite compelled by the idea of a game where your character classes you have to pick a class from another game and use like the moves there, but none of the keywords match because you are in the wrong thing.
Yeah. It's like to attack, you still like use a d20 because you are son of D&D, but it's like the move isn't attack. It's like when you challenge an opponent.
Yeah, yeah. It's stuff like you, I guess, are making arguments of whatever's getting converted or stuff. What
Yeah.
is the villain of this? Is the villain your parents?
I think the villain is your character's parents and possibly Hasbro. Um,
Is this a weird, heavy-handed allegory? For I feel in this case, this now maybe needs to more be restricted to just D&D rather than other big games. But like, if you do just D&D, but you can maybe be sons of different elements or additions,
yeah, it's
or
like
like
one of you
IP
is the son
relevant
of the
factors.
Grognard D&D, one of you is the son of weird third edition stuff, one of you
Yeah.
is the son of the unloved fourth, like whatever.
Is this, I guess, weirdly some heavy-handed allegory for being like a dyed-in-the-wool D&D player learning that other games exist?
Yes, and also for overcoming abusive parenting, maybe.
Ooh, feels like a dicey two topics to slam together. Like, I feel like one of those things is not that like the other.
Yeah, you say at the con when you're selling it to people, oh yeah, it's about overcoming bias that you only play D&D and learning that other games exist. And like all the NPCs in the game that you like ally with are like other RPGs or whatever. Um but then it is actually about like overcoming your terrible parents in the actual text of the
Mm.
game.
I remember actually once. This is a funny thing because I can't remember exactly how I got to this point, but I think I was talking about like stuff I feel like I've said relating to my own life about like games, where I think I was like, I feel like post transgender deathmatch legend, I feel like I've said everything I have to say on wrestling. Like I'm sure wrestling has some information, but I feel like in my mind I've like, oh yeah, I've had my like closing statement on that
Yeah.
aspect of my life. I feel like I have said a lot in games about like certain jobs. I don't necessarily imagine I'll write any other game that really engages with my feelings on like the teaching profession as much as it maybe forms parts of the creative primordial soup. But I remember saying something like, "Oh, I don't actually feel like I've made any game that really relates much to say like a relationship with parents." Um, and I think weirdly enough, there the reason is because I did a stand-up show that covered that enough that I'm like, "Oh, I have already said any artistic statement I want to say on my relationship with my parents. I just did it in a completely different medium, so it doesn't interest me in TTRPGs."
Yeah, you've already completed it, mate.
Yeah. Completed it, mate. Completed it. Do you want to go to a random word generator now? Son of D&D feels like a
Yeah,
solid
it's a
enough
good
game.
title. I'd look at that curiously at a convention. Let's go to a random word generator. I've got mine open because I'm prepared.
Okay, what do you got?
Exit.
Photocopy. I say I'm going to throw something out there. Maybe we grab one more word because I think what could be fun here is that we say that photocopy has to be something mechanical about the game.
Oh, okay,
Like
that's
whatever.
cute.
I'm going to refresh and get another word, and we combine that and exit for the plot. But photocopying is going to be part of our mechanics somehow.
Yeah.
Um, exit and unlawful.
Jesus, okay.
So I feel this is maybe a prison break game.
Yeah, it's better than the angle I was going for, let's say that.
No, this is some kind of like prison break game. And you could do it as a real prison or some kind of like sci-fi prison or whatever. And now I'm trying to think, like, is the photocopying... Ooh! Maybe you get... This is some kind of game where you get, like, a map, and you go through, like, various days or stuff. Like, maybe there's a day-night cycle where you do whatever preparations, which are attempts to, like, modify the map. And then you modify the map by, like, doing a photocopy where you have, like, placed scraps of paper over it to create exits or stuff like that.
Yeah, like, you edit the map by photocopying drawings on top of it.
Yeah. I'm now going to say this has to be actually maybe a weird sci-fi prison, in the sense of maybe it's like some kind of extra-dimensional prison, because I feel like maybe then the photocopying is changing the reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe, it's like each sort of, like, day, night.
It's like you are being sentenced to stay in roguelike prison, where every night the walls shift and everything's different every day. Except you've found the map. You've stolen the map somehow, and you are able to edit the map.
And I think it's like, your group of prisoners who are trying to escape get like a certain amount of modifications they can make, and then like the GM, who, if this is a kind of adversarial game, is probably called like the warden or something, also gets to make their own modifications or like block off one of your changes and add some extra like guards or stuff.
Yeah.
That's the day cycle. Photocopy happens, and then whenever you feel ready, you can maybe go over this a couple of times, but like, obviously the closer you do it, the more security and other obstacles the warden can add, but also the more escape and other routes you can add. But like, eventually one night you go, we're doing it now, and then the final photocopy is the map for some kind of like, almost skirmishy escape sequence, where I feel it's like, I feel it's like the mechanics there are a bit solid or stuff. Like, I think that's fun.
Yeah.
This feels like a cute one.
I want to say there's an idea of the more you photocopy it, the more the original map degrades. It's like you're photocopying a photocopy of a photocopy.
Yeah. I think there's also things like, the more you do that, you always have to photocopy the photocopy, never going back to the original. And I do think there's an aspect of like, any fucked things that occur in the photocopying process, you have to go with that.
Yeah, it's like if there's a crease and there's suddenly a line over a corridor. No, that's just a wall now.
Yeah, a wall or a fucking chasm or something. Like the warden gets to interpret that. I think that's fun. I think you just need to figure out... I feel like the big thing to write in this game would be figuring out the photocopying rules. And I feel like once you've done that, and like decided like the sequence order, the like pushing your luck aspect of it, I feel like then like figuring out the rules for the prison escape sequence is very simple. I feel like you'd probably do something just like... I guess it would depend on your own design preferences, but in my mind I'm like, I feel like you could easily adapt, say, the rules of like no picnics in the dungeon to this last escape bit. You could just do some kind of like...
It's pretty simple
level
PBTA.
of dungeon crawler thing. Yeah. That works for whatever your level of complexity is. You could plausibly just say, the game could even be, here's the map, now play in whatever your preferred
it's just, we ain't writing that shit.
Like, it could easily be a prep tool rather than a full game. It could easily be a full game, but like...
Yeah, this could be like half of a session of D&D or fucking Doctor Who, the role-playing game. Like...
Yeah, I think it's like, you could write it as a tool, or you could write it as a full game where you have both things. I feel like the name of the game is the name of this extra-dimensional prison, so it would probably be something like Supermax, like Negative Zone Max or whatever.
Yeah.
We're almost at 20 minutes, so I feel like we probably need to go to another random word generator.
Hang on, I'm writing things down because I always forget the names of our games. Okay, my word is duck.
I've got strength. Okay, I think this is... No, it's going to pitch something that like...
have two very large arms.
Or, oh fuck, maybe it is Duck Mech Suit. Like, yeah, you are a duck who pilots a mecha, but the mecha is just like the size of a human being.
Yes.
And I think it is a game, it's a mech game where you are fighting monsters, and the monsters are just human beings. Like, you build, I think, like, you basically do, like, build some kind of, like, tactical mech game, doing all of the, like, mech game stuff, but the plot is just, like, duck protecting their pond from the human polluters, which is just them having fist fights with human beings in the suit.
Yeah, it's like the human beings are just here to have a picnic or go fishing or something.
I think maybe you actually, maybe there's reaction rules or stuff. Like, is someone having a picnic, or are they picnickers who are going to start just like tossing trash in the thing?
Yeah.
Are you trying to like maybe like negotiate in your mech suit, saying like, we have done research. Peas are not. No, wait, sorry. It's like bread is not good for ducks. Cease your bread littering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have Are you into mechs at all?
I mean, there's a free to play game I'm kind of playing on and off on PlayStation that's like got the most generic ass name possible, but it's about mechs. Titanfall 2 is my jam.
Oh, I
I
love
keep
Titanfall
saying they
2.
should make a Titanfall 2 miniatures game, and it'd be the only thing I ever play anymore. Yeah, I don't know. They should make more mech games.
Yeah, I guess it's a thing because like I feel in a lot of mech TTRPGs are like the very kind of like tactical, crunchy design, which is not my preference in play. So even though I abstractly like the ideas of mechs, while not necessarily having like dived much into mech fiction outside of like select video games or certain stuff, I feel like most mech TTRPGs, even though I'm like, oh yeah, they clearly are like great for who they're for, I often feel like they're not for me.
Yeah.
They're saying that there's the mech plot in Nemesis Retribution, which is kind of me going like, what if
This
what
is
if
the
you did
Kayla
just
Dice
like
version of this, yeah.
Yeah, which is ultimately like, oh, here's a fun setting, and then like a very sort of like narrative, almost tag focused dice pool system for your fight scenes.
Yeah.
Which maybe that is how I do a full mech game, or maybe ultimately I'd just be like, maybe what is wanted from a mech game is not what I want to write.
If I
This
was
is
going to
funny.
write a mech game, I think it would be you are the person in command who is shouting orders down the phone, but you also have to like organize the budget and shit. It's like you are what's her name? The one in the red coat in Evangelion?
I've not seen Evangelion.
Misato. Her name is Misato. She also like is the pilot's caregivers. So it's like you have to care for the pilots outside of their like battles. And
I think there is such a fascinating undercurrent to so much of your design work. And I'm saying this completely as a compliment because I feel like you might be about to take it the wrong way because it's on Game Suit, where you take the sort of, conventional approach of something as an action or adventure story and are all like, what is the most sort of like 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 management or just almost like pastoral in the educational pastoral sense, not in like pastoral fantasy sense, approach to this genre.
yeah. No,
It's genuinely positive. I think it's a unique
yeah.
perspective. I'm just like, oh yeah, like Mousewife is very much that, and I kind of feel like even the way you are subverting the like the usual antagonist status of like goblins, kobolds. It's not everything you do. Obviously, I'd say it's not necessarily their tournament arc, but I also think a lot of things we pitch here, you're always like, okay, then what's the slice of life private aspect of these people in an adventure story?
See, you're giving away the secret sauce. You're going to ruin Game Soup saying this stuff.
What I was going to say there, I feel we got two fun games there, basically, even. Like, just from that one prop, because I'm like, oh, I think... I was going to say, like, thinking of calling this game, like, Pond Mech or something, but then I was suddenly like, could the game be called, like, Pondscum 3000 or something.
Oh, I love it. I was going to call it Duck Patrol, but Pondscum is good.
Yeah, Pondscum. I specifically think 3000 to give it this like sci-fi-esque thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost a bit of a like. I think there's maybe a genuinely fun game in here, but I also think some of it's almost like an art piece of like really parodying the conventions of. Like, it's a parody, but that has to take itself completely seriously. And then I think you have pitched a very interesting slice of life mech like management sim, which I don't have a name for, but you could just call it mech management sim if you want.
I called it pilot care in my notes, but I'm thinking like it has like a light novel title, like How to Care for Your Pilots and Make Them Kill 3,000 Aliens or something.
Yeah, that sounds. I'm surprised you don't have any games that have like full-on light novel titles.
I mean, originally, Picnic in the Dungeon was like I went through like 12 different names to that thing, and like half of them were light novel titles. So,
yeah, that makes sense. Do we have, as we're coming to the end of the episode, anything we should promote?
Probably, yeah. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Plumtree Chloe, and what's your username of choice on this one?
It's rapwave.uk. I've actually now streamlined it. Everywhere else other than Blue Sky, I'm just Rapwave Kayla. But on Blue Sky, it's my website. But also, if you search Rapwave anywhere, I come up. But, like, Blue Sky's the exception because I can verify it. Yeah, find us there. If you have any suggestions for game ideas you want us to riff on, we are always welcome. Or even words you want us to put in the blender. God, yeah, the blender, the soup pot, everything like that. We'll both be at UK Games Expo at the end of the month, because this will come out. It will be May by the time this episode comes out.
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May. And we'll talk loads more about that, obviously. But yeah, otherwise, stay soupy.
Stay
moist. Thank you for listening to Game Soup. Watch yourself or you'll boil.